Let's have a look at Barbagallo Raceway, originally known as Wanneroo. 5th stop of 14 for this year's championship. And we go all over this great country, and we come to this one. Scapey, it's a historic venue. We've done so much racing here over the years. 2.42K, soft tyres. As we saw in the first race, it's all about rubber.
It certainly is, and it's so hard on tyres. We talk about it all the time, Noons, but the surface has degraded over the years, and basically it makes the wheels spin everywhere, and it hurts the front tyre just as much because the cars are sliding from the time you put your foot on the brake to the time you exit the corner, and we can't really explain it well enough other than seeing the time difference that actually yields in the race. Cars are 2 seconds slower in only 20 laps.
Remember, championship points coming in. Ford lead. Mark Winterbottom, there he is, 108 clear of Fabian Coulthard. He starts a few spots in front of the Lockwood car for this race, but Craig Lowndes is on pole for the 34th time of his career. Don't forget, Russell Ingall's up there again. He starts from 3rd in the Repair Management Australia cars.
And he was very disappointed with the balance of his car. I spoke to the team about it. They didn't make very many changes to it, but small changes around here make a big difference to the balance, Murph.
Yeah, they do. You don't have to do too much to get it wrong, and unfortunately they did with that car.
So let's take a look at the Fuso grid for you for the complete field. Craig Lowndes on P1. Alongside him, Scott McLaughlin, the winner of the previous race. Russell Ingall, great job to be in P3. Whincup, a big performance improvement for him to be 4th. Winterbottom and Davison alongside each other. Courtney and Mostert, who drove very well in the previous race. Lee Holdsworth and Fabian Coulthard. Good speed for him too, Noons.
Yeah, definitely. He is a title contender. Tim Slade had a struggle in the last one. He's in a better spot this time. He's 11th alongside David Wall. Brand spanking new, number 17, Dick Johnson team car. Robert Dahlgren, 13th in the second of the Volvos. There's David Reynolds. He'll start from 15th. Rick Kelly, P16. His old teammate Garth Tander's next, and Michael Caruso, who brought up his 200th championship race start earlier on the day. Again, Shane van Gisbergen starts from 20th. He finished last in the previous race by trying to run all the way without a pit stop. They've got to change their game because clearly he's not changing his game in terms of his results and the way he goes about it here at Barbagallo. Perkins, Moffat. So Todd Kelly goes from his best finish of the year to his worst qualifying of the year for this race.
And he was man of the match. I thought he drove very, very well in the previous race. To get to 8th position and forge his way forward. Here's his brother. As I said before, we've got 10 in-car cameras covering the field for you today. And this mad camera on the side of Rick Kelly's helmet is fantastic. On board also with Tim Slade, the Super Cheap Auto Commodore.
And we'll be with Will Davison in the Erebus Motorsport. Mert Cunnaman starts position 6. He drifted away in that last race. He was solid early. This guy was solid all the way through. Scott McLaughlin, last minute drama, but he'll be on the front row of the grid. This time, though, he's on the other side.
But also, Greg, it was a big difference with who come in early. So there's a lot of different...
We were a bit shocked, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
We were a bit surprised about the way some of these guys broke that race up with their pit stops. Some of them were very early, and that definitely came back to haunt them later in the race when some of those guys just hunted them down and moved forward.
Yep.
So do we expect to go the same way that they did now that they've established a marker from the first race?
I wouldn't have thought so, but you never know. I mean, it was pretty interesting to see. You saw Mark Winterbottom and Chaz Mostert. The difference in their stopping was about 5 laps difference. Mostert just had so much more speed.
Yep.
Even though Mark Winterbottom suggested he let him go, I don't think he had an option.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Green flag.
42 laps again. 100 kilometres. Super Sprint Saturday here on 7. And it's Lowndes v McLaughlin. Holden v Volvo. Russell Ingall, he made a lion start in the first one. What can he do in this one? It's pretty even away. It's hard to make some move because there's no room. Whincup slots in. He's got 3rd, and he wants to hang the Volvo out because Lowndes has got the lead. Whincup's on the curb, and he shoves the Swedish car wide. Side by side up through the S's. Again, Lowndes gets margin while the rest fight, but Scotty Mack hangs on for the moment.
That was good driving. That was really high-level driving with both those guys. They bumped all the way around 1, up through 2, 3, got across the top of the hill without hitting each other. Very, very good driving.
They were both desperate to be the next car in line after Craig Lowndes. They were so desperate. Whincup pushed very hard. He came off the curb through the apex of 1, bumped into Scott McLaughlin. On board here with Mark Winterbottom behind Russell Ingall, who's had another good getaway. It'll be interesting to see if that car holds onto its tyres a little bit better this time round.
A dive down the inside by Pye. Down the inside of Slade, a bit of contact.
Good move,
forces
though.
Slade, but it's a good move. He'll end up holding that position on the inside. Ingle looks racy, which is a bad sign. One of the things the guys said from the repair management team is they started the tyre pressures too high. Remember, Ingle was in a very competitive state in the first part of the race last time.
Yep.
He needs to be less competitive early. A pretty clean start for the guys. That was, as I said, pretty wild. This is on the exit of 5. Pretty wild with McLaughlin and Whincup, but very high-level driving to get away with it.
I can't wait to see if the Red Bull guys have improved those cars. Craig Lowndes' car, clearly, as he talked about just before the race start, the Volvo better off the turns and obviously tyre life better. Down the last turn, there's Coulthard. On Davison, he's got the inside for turn 1.
And that's 3 spots gone for Will because both FPR cars have got him. Coulthard's got him. Now his own mate's going to get him. Lee Holdsworth's in. James Courtney's lined up as well. We saw this in race 1. Get hung out, you stay there for a lap and you lose 4 or 5 spots.
They're going to go side by side through the flip-flop here. We've seen this go bad. Davison still got an overlap.
Well done, boys. That was really well done.
A good bit of driving by Davison to hold the brake for long enough then, when he got to the left-hander, but he didn't make contact. That was very, very good driving.
Courtney looking for the opportunity down the hill into Cole. There's action behind him, that battle between Slade and Pye still going on from 2 laps ago. And Reynolds is looking to take an opportunity, which he's going to get now, down the hill, the drag race, into the last turn.
Courtney now sizing up a move on Will Davison. Look at the background. David Wall getting a move on
Oh,
Slade.
it's going to be contact.
Get in there too. Look at this. Look in front though, to the line. Ingle defending hard from Winterbottom, but he can't stop him from getting through for 4th. But have a look at this.
How was that dive?
That was phenomenal. How did he turn that in with so much speed? The thing stuck. I couldn't believe it.
I saw you both go for the steering wheel there.
Oh, well, for sure he was going to make contact, wasn't he?
That was amazing. He managed to take an opportunity there I wouldn't have seen. But there's Shane Van Goosberg, and we talked about him. He's struggling. Still, it made a few spots, though, from where he started there, but still not good enough.
So let's get a control of the situation. Lowndes, McLaughlin, Whincup, Winterbottom, Ingle, Mostert, who's the fastest man on the road, Coulthard, Holdsworth, Courtney, and Scott Pye is in the top 10. Will Davison just outside. Replay of the start.
Yeah, this is a very even start. Scott McLaughlin didn't really have anywhere to go. In fact, Lowndes on the dirty side of the road did a very good job. But check this out. The line and the run up on the curb goes Whincup, bang, they make contact. And this little bit of driving through the kink, you'll go on board now. You'll see that Whincup's start was very healthy.
Yep.
He got across to the inside in front of Ingle, and then he tries to command track position. Well, then you'll see the bump,
And another bump.
and then they go up through this next section, which is very fast, and they got over the rise without making contact, and McLaughlin then had track position on the left-hand side for the long left-hander at turn 4. Very, very good driving.
And this is Courtney getting up the inside.
And we'll see Scott Pye here.
There
Bang!
he is.
Through the inside. Give Courtney a bit of a touch because he was like, come on, move on, let's go. And he managed to take that spot from Will Davison. Pretty staggering stuff.
Now this is a change too. Mostert's been making ground. He's got speed. He's got Ingle too. And Fabian Coulthard will sneak down the inside. Lowndes leading. McLaughlin. Margin is just being nibbled away by the Volvo. It's 8/10 at the line. Look behind. It is absolutely bonkers.
Just wait, it's going to change. That 2-3 wide coming into turn 1.
You could put a blanket from 13th to 25th. Fit them all in. It's crazy.
Nick Percat giving a bit of a run from Dale Wood as he tried to get back in line. Todd Kelly, man of the match from the last race, only made a few spaces, a few spots so far.
We're off and rolling. Craig Lowndes is rolling too. He leads the way. It's wild in the west in the mid-pack. We'll come back for the Perth 400 in just a moment. On board with Will Davison. He is back to 15th in the Erebus Mercedes. And it's a bit of a struggle for Erebus. Now, Van Gisbergen was wounded in the first race, had no pace, went all the way without stopping for tyres. One of just 2 drivers to do it. He and Jack Perkins took that strategy. It worked okay for Jack. It did not work for the VIP Pet Foods Commodore, but he looks a bit more solid in this race, but he's buried in this wild rumble. Todd Kelly on Dale Wood. They're fighting for 22nd place like it's for the World Championship.
There's not an inch being given here. Everyone is desperate. The speed of these cars is very, very similar, so they're trying to make opportunities as best they can. Lowndes looks a bit racier this time.
And I reckon Whincup is too.
Yeah, I don't know if they've managed to improve their car, what the Volvo guys have done, what Scott McLaughlin's done, but it's still very early on in the piece, only 6 laps in. But Lowndes' car just does, at this stage, looks a little bit racier. Mark Winterbottom, he looks very strong.
And he's chasing the champ, the guy who's won 5 times in this championship, and sparks fly as the car straddles that curb on the exit of turn 7. Lap pace is comparative. Winterbottom and Mostert are the fastest men on the road. The Pepsi Max cars are hooked up. They're in the middle of a real good purple patch at the moment for the Factory 4 team. They've got results at Pukekohe, results at Winton. This won't last all year. It never does for any team. But you've got to reap the field now. You've got to get everything you can do. You've got to farm it while it's there, because your bad days will come. But when they're good, you've got to maximise them.
And just looking at the way the 2 cars here, Whincup's car and Winterbottom's car came off the first turn. Winterbottom's car was able to turn through the centre much tighter and get a much straighter drive off, whereas Whincup was still turning his car a lot later. This could be a big issue later on in the race.
And that's such a unique part to this design of the Barbagallo Raceway venue. End of lap 8 this time. Remember, it's a 42-lap 100k race. They're on soft tyres. It's not a compulsory pit stop by the rule book, but it may be by the timing screen and how you're going compared to the rest. Lap 9 in the Perth 400, race 15 of the championship, and it's Craig Lowndes who leads the way. It's been a big day for Matt Braid from Volvo Car Australia. They're in the middle, in the pit lane shot from our mega wall, and they're in the fight again. Scott McLaughlin sits second, but we're on board with the championship leader. And Greg Murphy, we were talking about this in the break. Mark Winterbottom's car looks really, really good. Whincup, though, starting to struggle.
Yeah, I don't know how hard he's pushing these tyres, Mark Winterbottom, but that car is coming off the corners. Mark's gave a lot straighter than what the Red Bull car is able to do. So, as we talked about, the front tyres and the rear tyres sliding, it looks like Whincup's car is using up front and rears more than Mark Winterbottom's car is.
Exactly, Murphy. It's got more turning to do at the end, hasn't it?
Yep.
So it's using much more road on the exit. And you can see it everywhere, whether it's coming out of the final corner or especially out of Kolb, where you can see the FPR come out much straighter and looks after the rear tyres as a consequence.
This could be quite graphic here, the way he just turns that car at the last, but look how straight he is coming off there, much more than what Jamie Whincup's able to do. Craig Lowndes looks strong, though. He looks stronger than the first race. Those guys, I reckon, have given that thing a little bit of a tune.
Yep.
And it's definitely got a little bit more pace. He's able to drive it the way he wants it a bit more and not use up that tyre.
Remember, in the earlier race, Whincup finished 17th. Winterbottom leads the points. Whincup's drifted. He's now 199 behind. The last time he was that far behind was that long ago. It doesn't matter. The roles have been reversed here, but for this race, on our viewer vote, get on the V8 website, the 7 Sport app. Can Scott McLaughlin win again in this race? Oh, that little delay hasn't seemed to concern too many people. They're on board with the Volvo, but not by much.
Well, it's a good reaction because based on Lowndes' performance so far this race, he does look stronger. Looks like the car is better. Craig's been very good over the years at this circuit of keeping the momentum up, keeping the flow going. Because the more that you try to stop and start the car here, the worse that it hurts the tyre. So you've got to try to keep the mid-corner speed up and keep the momentum up.
And we touched on earlier on in the day how Craig's record's been here. He's won so many races, 14. Only a couple of them, 2 with 888. They're all in those glory days with the Holden Racing team. If he can win this one, he'll tie you for a record in terms of the most wins at one track. You had 15 at Oran Park. That was a place that you clicked with. He clicks here as well.
Just look how long Jamie Whincup's holding that brake pedal. You see the brake lights all the way through, just about past the apex, and you can see Mark Winterbottom's transition is just before Jamie Whincup's back to the throttle. Long time on the brake.
Yeah.
Long time, so he's having to do that to slow it down and get that car just turning a little bit more before he can get on the throttle.
Watch here, he'll hold the brake unbelievably long. So that's called trail braking. Look, the brake's still on.
Yeah.
It's all the way to the apex of the corner, maybe even past it. So what they do with that is they keep the front of the car and the wheel loaded. So it keeps weight on the wheel and keeps the car turning. Look at the brake. The brake's on unbelievably long into the corner.
It's nowhere near as stable as the Falcon behind him right now. But as Mark Winterbottom using up his tyres, trying to find a way to get past the Triple Eight car.
Greg, you and I spoke earlier in the day while we were walking around the pit lane having a chat to some of the teams. And Mark Winterbottom, he doesn't have to fight within his garage this year. He's got to fight these guys regularly. But you were talking about how there's a little bit of a changing, the aggression and the line. He looks in good flow.
Yeah, he does. He just seems to have got that confidence. And obviously by being up the front and winning races that he did, confidence comes really, really quickly.
Guys, if Lounsey's car looks better, Jeremy Moore is the man with the magic touch, his engineer. Jeremy, what have you done to Lounsey's car?
Well, I think I threw the kitchen sink at it. We didn't have a good run last time. We haven't had good race pace for a while. We had good qualifying pace, but we needed to do something dramatic. So we've done that. It's proven to be okay so far, but still a long way to go, and fingers crossed.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, good pick up for Edson. JJ's very good at that stuff. Although he said, you know, we're throwing the kitchen sink at it, he knows the sorts of things you've got to do to cars with at a place where you've got low grip to make the car flow and to make it, in Craig Lowndes' world, work for him.
And when he says kitchen sink, there would have been the most minutest little things here and there to get that change happening. But it seems to have worked so far. We're a lot further in to the race than what we were at the first one. And he is still leading the race quite comfortably. Got a 1.5 second lead.
On board here with Scott Pye in the 16 car from Dick Johnson's Wilson Security Racing Team. They were really lost yesterday. They weren't really a factor, the two DJR cars, but Scott's been chipping away. Remember that he's been under the wing of Triple Eight the last few years. He went on that wild ride over the hill last year in Lucas Dumbrell's car. He's found a new home. There's John Bow, of course, long-time DJR driver, the Hall of Famer there to the left, and Dick Johnson. What a great combo they were in the 80s and the 90s. They're watching on, though, as the modern stars, the V8s, fight on. Craig Lowndes leads the way. Lap 14 here in Perth. The margin is nice. It's 1.6 seconds. Let's wait and see how the strategy plays out and whether anyone heads to the lane soon. As we ride on board with Scott Pye, he's 10th. First year for him with Dick Johnson's team. It was a really miserable year last year for him and the Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport squad. Prior to that, he drove in the Dunlop Series for Triple Eight and spent some time, Greg, overseas in Formula 3. He won in F3, he won in British Formula 4. Comes back to Australia and ends up with probably the most iconic race team in the land, particularly in Queensland.
He had one of the most incredible excursions here last year. As you mentioned before, Noons,
Airborne,
flying
40 metres worth.
Flying through the air in his Lucas Dumbrell Commodore. Much closer to the ground this time around in the DJR Falcon, but just love looking at the inputs these drivers are having to make, trying to keep the cars as straight as they possibly can. The subtle touches on the throttle and the brake, nothing too aggressive. Back to the lead. Scott Mclaughlin very wide on the turn, and the Volvo down there doesn't look as comfortable as what he did in the first race. Or is it the other guys have made those little bits, those little improvements, and made a gain on the Volvo, who really did dominate the first race.
So much of that soft tyre debris that's kicking up as they just slightly run offline over the crest of the hill on the run at turn 7. That's 255 k's an hour. Look at the sparks underneath the mid-carriage of the Lockwood car. Now that's Scott Pye, who's going to peel on in and head to the lane. So
well, that's early.
That's really early.
That's as early as
15.
I think it's earlier than what the first car did last race, but he is in. The Jack Daniels guys are also ready, so one of their cars is entering the lane. So very early stop. He's not straight at all. He's missed his marks by quite a margin, has Scott Pye. So that's made it harder for his crew to get the service done. There's the Jack Daniels guys on Todd Kelly's car, who's, yeah, again, stopped incredibly early for this 42-lap race.
And the key with these stops is it's just for tyres. There's no fuel. We're on lap 16 at the moment. Craig Lowndes out front. Well, not many people get to go for a ride in V8 supercars. We're taking you on one here at the Perth 400. This is what it looks like from Rick Kelly's Jack Daniels Nissan. Our Castrol Edge kilometre counter has clocked up 38.7 k's of this 100-kilometre race, and the title leader, Mark Winterbottom, heads on into pit lane. They've come in early. Greg Murphy, Mark Scaife, you both looked at me and almost shocked then.
I am shocked. I'm really surprised that they've decided to do that. Another car, James Courtney, looks like he's followed through, but I would have thought from the first race they would have seen that this didn't quite play out the way than it should have.
I agree, Greg, and we saw the difference between Mostert and Winterbottom in the previous race, so I would have been more conservative than that, especially as the championship leader.
Is that a case of the change you've made, you feel that it's going to give you that last little bit more? I can't think of another reason why you would go this way unless you felt a bit more confident in what you've done in between the two races, but we'll see in 26 laps time.
Yeah, guys, the guys at Volvo Polestar Racing have got the tyres ready for car 33. They were looking to see what Craig Lowndes was doing, and they wanted to follow on for him, but he is in the pit lane now. Interesting also, Todd Kelly, he replicated what he did the previous race. He went with the green tyres on the left side of the car, the used tyres on the right. Scott Pye, he put 2 green tyres on the rear of his car and the used tyres on the front. So it's all sorts of things happening in pit lane.
It's a battle of the pit crews now, Rihanna, because they're all on in. Lowndes, McLaughlin, Ingle, Reynolds, Tander, Rick Kelly. Lowndes at the end.
Sorry, Nerds. What's going to be really important is the rejoin, because check this out.
Yep.
Because this will be close.
That's Winterbottom on the track. Lowndes exiting on cold tyres. There's McLaughlin.
So Winterbottom has easily been able to undercut Scott McLaughlin. A couple of laps there on a new, fresh set of Dunlops has given him a huge advantage over the Volvo.
But remember, we saw that in the previous one, and McLaughlin got straight by. So unless maybe what you said before is right, the Winterbottom speed is better, and they're able then to say, well, I can defend, and I'm going to get a better yield from that.
Whincup in from the lead guy. So Chaz Mostert, he's still going. He's still out there and leads on the road from Fabian Coulthard and Lee Holdsworth, David Wall.
Well, this one's going to be critical because Winterbottom, the speed that he has had and the distance ahead of Scott McLaughlin that he is, I think he's going to come out ahead of Whincup too.
Tim Slade, Super Cheap Auto Team. Here's Whincup. There's Lowndes.
Critical. Look at Winterbottom. He has absolutely trumped them.
And McLaughlin.
This is going to be close.
He's on warmer tyres. Whincup's on cold tyres. He's got grip. He's got drive. Jamie pumps out in front. Now, he's got to get it up and going because the tyres are cold. The pressures are low.
And that didn't look like a really fast stop by the Gary Rogers Motorsport crew. He's definitely lost time in the pit lane as well.
And if you're Scott, you've got to get him now. You just got to clear him out of the way. Here's the spot.
Well, Jamie knows it too. Yeah, already going down the inside to cover.
What about the drive? What about the rear grip on the exit here?
Held him up enough to make it.
He's got him. He's done enough here to just get his neck above the waterline and get going.
Well, he did a very good job because he blocked him on the way in, and then he held him back to the same speed in the middle of the corner. He gave Scott nowhere to go. So it was a clever bit of driving by Whincup. Now, whether his car's good enough to hold that spot, who knows? But what it will definitely do, it'll help the two front runners. It'll definitely help Winterbottom as a consequence because it'll hold McLaughlin up on the way forward. It's great to stay on board and have a look at this because we've said for a long time about how the cars achieve their speed. And there'll only be a couple of spots where McLaughlin has better speed than Whincup, especially when the tyres are reasonably fresh like this. Later on, when the tyres go away, there's much more difference.
Look at the wheel work as they just settle for the change of direction between 4 and 5. There's a lot of wheel work to get that car change direction and settle it down. Whincup again using the brake all the way into the corner. Most of these guys are using it a lot.
Yes, we just watched Chaz Mostert coming in to have his stop. I'm trying to understand why someone like Winterbottom or teams often come in early like we've just seen, earlier than we expected. It's a twofold thing. One thing they can do is undercut their opposition, i.e. they get in, get out on new tyres, punch out a couple of fast laps before their competitors do, gain position. But what happened then, as often is the case, you actually force the rest of the competitors to follow you into the pit lane the next lap, as did just happen. Now what you're doing is backing yourself in that you've got a good race car, and Mark Winterbottom reckons he's got a good race car over his qualifying car, so he's forced everyone to come into the pit lane with him, and that might play out for him at the other end of the day. I think it's good strategy. You're really forcing the other guys to play your game. Yeah, that's a good point, Larko. The gamesmanship of that, I mean, we used to do that a lot. If we knew our car was good as a race car and the tyre quality was going to be good, then you force people onto your strategy. So I agree, that's a good way of approaching it, except that in the last race, it hurt him because Mostert come in 5 laps later and was able to pass him late in the race. So either they're happier that the car is better and still want to bat on with that,
based on that gamesmanship that you made point of.
Yeah, you're dead right, mate. So you can only assume, which I think is the right one, that they've tuned the car up in between and they're backing themselves in.
Yeah, I agree.
And 4 cars, guys, have not pitted. 2 of them are the Erebus Mercedes that run 1-2. Holdsworth and Will Davison. Bright staying out there. BJR have a bit of a history of running it a little bit long over history, and Jack Perkins is going the same way as he did earlier on. Moffat, Percat and Dahlgren are all in to the lane this time. So it's half race distance in race 15. Let's see how far these Erebus Mercedes go on their tyres, but the best of the cars that have stopped is Lowndes. Then Winterbottom, Whincup, Mclaughlin, Mostert. Pye is in the game too. Coulthard, who we're looking at, Courtney Reynolds. Fastest man on the road is Tim Slade. Fastest lap last time around, 57.08, as Holdsworth now pits, and that will give the lead to his teammate Will Davison.
So some pretty smart lap times about to emerge. Tim Slade's just on the fastest lap of the race. Mostert, has just eclipsed that right now with a 56.86. And there's going to be some lap times based on fresh tyres and track position that will emerge. The other guy that we're just going to have a little bit of an eye on is Jason Bright, who got caught up last time. He had a bit of a drama with one of the Nissans late in the race. And we just keep an eye on him because he hasn't come in yet. He'll run long, as we have seen the PJR guys do, as you said. But also, when he does put the fresh tyres on, they've got very good speed.
Ross Stone right of screen.
And Brighty's pace still isn't too bad.
No.
He's still in the, a reasonable speed. He's not losing too much, but it's about the game when they put it on. Is he going to be able to pass guys, move forward that he needs to, and get the gain from staying out there a little bit longer and having that fresher tyre?
There's Lowndes in the background. He was 1.8 seconds faster that time around than Will Davison. Starts to give you an idea of the relative pace between who has stopped and who hasn't stopped. 23 down, 19 to go. Davison leads. Bright next. Craig Lowndes, best of the guys who've stopped. It's an interesting one here in Perth. So Jack Perkins is in. That leaves just 2 not to have headed to the lane for tyres. Oh, there's why. Look, left rear punctured.
Well, we were wondering if he was going to play the same game as the first race, which gave him a huge gain, but
can't do it on 3 tyres.
Can't do it on 3 tyres. So he may have been going for the same plan, but this time round is forced to do something different. Scott Mclaughlin under a fair bit of pressure from Chaz Mostert. The Volvo just doesn't look quite as strong as what it did in the first race.
We should point out too, these guys know one another well because they've raced one another for years in the Dunlop series and in the junior categories. It's not like they've just lobbed at the same time in factory teams in the championship and now they're running together on the road. They know one another pretty well. Where the other's strong, where the other's weak, that's a case of what they can do with their cars. Coulthard behind, fighting with Scott Pye. Whincup, he looks better. He looks better in this race. Let's see how much
better.
Yeah, he's qualified better. That's always the key. You could be racing okay, but if you qualify bad, you stay 15th or 16th. But he's running up the front at the moment.
Here's Jason Bright just exiting after his stop. A long way down the field. 24th lap, so he's got a much fresher tyre, but is that going to be enough to make up the difference?
He'd love a safety car to pull him up into the game and not use up the tyres trying to catch them.
He would like one right now. Don't know if he's going to get one the way things have been going. Of late, everyone is driving hard and keeping it on the track. So here we go, Mostert showing his nose. He's not going to get up the inside of Scott Mclaughlin as these guys chase down Jamie Whincup, as you said, having a much better run in this race after a 17th place finish in race 1 today.
So we're right on board with the Volvo. Mclaughlin 7th in the championship.
It will be interesting to find out from the GRM guys after this race if they made any changes to this car for race 2. It seems that he hasn't moved forward. Some other cars definitely look a bit sharper than what the Volvo does this round.
Well, this is the fight for the lead on the road in race 15, but it's not really a fight. Will Davison is peeling off to take a stop in the Erebus number 9 Mercedes. He's the last man to come in for tyres with 16 laps to go. He'll have fresh tyres to come on home through, but Craig Lowndes now retakes the lead. Winterbottom 2nd, and Jamie Whincup sits 3rd.
And this is the total opposite strategy of the previous race. He was the first to come in the previous race. So I would have thought that he's pretty much learnt from that. He will get a gain, clearly, as this last 4 or 5 laps emerge. But the problem is, it may actually be too late now.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of things I've heard you guys talking about, wondering why Scotty's car's not as sharp this race. I just spoke to Rich Holway's engineer in there. They said they actually didn't touch the car at all. Maybe they should have. Now, what you need to know, you heard Scotty talking about his grounding before. Great parents, and he's been brought up right. And what he went and did, he went and did an apprenticeship as a steel fabricator, metal fabricator. Great career. Actually, he does it with Gary Rogers. He did his apprenticeship within the team. You saw he didn't come out on the grid there before because he had a broken header pipe. Here it is. There it is, that bolts onto the engine. This is stainless steel pipe. They put the heat wrapping around it, and you can see the broken weld. Now, who do you reckon welded that up? Scotty Mclaughlin. So Gary said he's finished the apprentice. You reckon he's going to drag him in for another year? You reckon he's another 12 months at it?
Hey, it'd be worse if it was on the other car, wouldn't it?
You might be making that up, Larko.
You reckon Gary Rogers put him under the bus? Either way, he runs 4th at the moment. This is a good fight here. Chaz Mostert, Fabian Coulthard, 5 and 6, but Lowndes leads by 2.1 seconds to Mark Winterbottom. So let's see how that Pepsi Max Ford, and indeed this one is, it's been strong on race running this year on looking after tyres. Let's see what we can find out. James Moffat here, miserable weekend so far. Norton Hornet is 20th here behind Dale Wood. Van Gisbergen 18th, but at least this time he's done a stop.
Well, I spoke to him before, and I said, James, the car was good here last year. He's mystified by it. He just doesn't understand why it's got so much understeer. He said the understeer in this corner, Kolb, is terrible. And then he said there's a little bit of bump and grind there with the guys, but when he's got that much understeer, he said on the exit, they just run up the inside of me on the straight, and I just can't make it, cannot come onto the straight properly. So he's really very much in the head scratch mode.
Well, one of his teammates, Todd Kelly, who started dead last in that race, has moved ahead up to 16th, ahead of his brother, ahead of Moffat, and behind Michael Caruso. So he's showing some great speed this weekend as Todd Kelly after finishing 8th in the first race today.
I looked at some numbers before we came here this weekend. He had a good run in Pukekohe in qualifying. He's in the top 10 a few times. He's been the best qualified Nissan driver all year. Last year it was the opposite. He was the worst by a long way. So he's been able to put his way to the front of the class. You need to get yourself best of your team before he can go anywhere else. But there's a long road ahead for Nissan Motorsport because their best one at the moment is Michael Caruso in 15th spot. So pace at the front, not much in it. They're all running mid 57 seconds. This gives you an idea of who's where. Lowndes, McLaughlin, Wincup there as well. Mostert, Coulthard. There's Pye, Courtney, Reynolds, Russell Ingall in the 10. Tander and Holdsworth, David Wall, Tim Slade. There's Caruso, best of the Nissans. There's the next one, Todd Kelly. There's the next one, Rick Kelly. Shane Van Gisbergen mucks up my little thing I had going with the Nissans, and then the next one is James Moffat. No, I'll make a call later. There's Will Davison. He's 23rd. He's 29 seconds behind. Fresh tyres, but it just doesn't help him.
No, it's not going to work this time, unfortunately. The speed of the cars ahead of him is just not degrading fast enough for that benefit of the few laps difference. I mean, the beauty of we're talking about, we thought everyone was coming on. The first cars started to come in too early, but you know what Larko was said, everybody followed suit, so there's no advantage or disadvantage necessarily. So here we look at Scott McLaughlin's feet, hard at work.
Jandal Cam.
Job, buddy. 12 to go, mate.
Oh, look how subtly he is on the throttle, just feeding the power in, trying to minimise any wheel spin off the corner.
That progression, we've made the comment a couple of times, haven't we, Murphys? A very nice throttle modulation. You see there, he was probably 100 metres away from the apex of turn 5 by the time he actually got full throttle on.
Exactly. And then also, it's the brake pedal. You know how hard we smash the brake pedals in these cars. The brake pedal application is Fabian Coulthard gets the drive up the inside of Mostert. This car's looking pacey. The number 14 Lockwood car looking very pacey. He's going to have to try and block the crossover here, which I don't think he's going to get away with.
He didn't.
Look at the rubber on the road. He was unable to get back in front of Mostert to block him coming up the inside.
It was a good crisscross there, Mostert. Good composure, good state of play in terms of where the cars are, and to get that done You know yourself, Greg, when you've got the crisscross going there, you've got to almost make contact with the car
to come back across.
And get back across. And that momentum was very nicely done by Mostert to do that.
Fabian showed some attitude through 5. Car just stepping out, having to make a correction in the steering.
And just back behind them, guys, is Scott Pye, who's done a really good job. He's in P7. Neil Crompton just said that that's the equal best since Tasmania earlier in the year. So that's a great job by Scott Pye.
We should point out too, DJR and FPR, the only Ford teams in the lineup. These cars run from Dick's team in Queensland, but they have a lot of crossover with FPR in some of their componentry and information sharing and the like. So it's all about the greater good of the Blue Oval moving forward. And this is a young guy with very good international pedigree. He went on that wild ride here last year in the yellow Commodore over the hill, sideways for 45 odd metres airborne. This is a lot nicer run, and they were a little bit lost yesterday. They weren't really anywhere strong, but they're much better today. And if you don't feel well right now, probably turn away, because this is what it looks like with Rick Kelly. It's 21st position, Jason Bright up in front. This helmet is actually bolted to the side of his helmet, so you're getting the idea of exactly what he's looking at, how he's leaning through, how the G-forces are affecting him. Fantastic shot.
Well, he's obviously had a little bit of a problem, because a couple of laps ago he was right behind his brother in 17th.
Yep.
And now he's back in 21st, so he's either had a small altercation there with someone else or a little excursion off the road, but he's dropped a handful of spots there in the last couple of laps, which will be obviously frustrating for him.
You watch his eye line. So his eye line will lift up on the main straight, so you can see his eye line change, and he looks down at the dash and looks back up high. You can see that roller coaster. The road comes back at you in the braking area. Then his eye line is towards the apex. Then their eye line is now out towards the grass, because I've got 4 wheels off the road.
I think if you could see his eyes, they'd be opening quite wide.
Exactly, yeah. They were pretty white by the time they got to there. But it was interesting then to see where he's actually looking.
And there's a fair bit of action going up ahead of him.
He's looking at that too.
Looking at that too, wishing and hoping. Craig Lowndes is the impressive one here. From race 1 to this race now, the difference in the speed in that Triple Eight car is phenomenal. Those guys have worked a bit of magic. Oh, Rick runs very wide at the exit of 5.
Jack Perkins in the pits.
Again, another flat tyre.
Yeah, I think it's that bodywork must be rubbing on it. Check this out for the rubber build-up on the outside of the road. Look at the amount of rubber coming out from under the cars. So that's why it becomes a one-lane racetrack. You just can't get out there. It's drivers call it the marbles, and when you get on it, that's what it feels like. Basically, you just run the car on those high bumps of rubber.
Some big marbles out there, Mark.
Large. What do you call them? What do you call them in New Zealand? Come on, what's that word you've got for it? Come on. What do you call it?
I can't.
You do? What is it? What is it? Come on. Come on, it's a great New Zealand day. You've had a win and everything. Come on, tell us what it is out there.
Focused on what we've got here.
He doesn't play the game,
There's a weird thing that the New Zealanders call. It's a bit like jandals and chili bins, but we'll get to it.
Hey, this Kiwi's going good, though. Coulthard putting the pressure on Mostert. They've had the swap-over move earlier on. Lowndes out front, 1.8 seconds to Winterbottom. It's pretty consistent. Whincup third. He's got a bit of air back to McLaughlin. Then this fight with Mostert. Coulthard and Scott Pye is not far away. Here's Van Gisbergen 17th. Percat, Bright, Moffat, Will Davison trying to make up some ground on those fresher tyres.
So, nerds, if you don't think qualifying is important, take a leaf out of Jamie Whincup's book here. He qualified bad in the previous race and ended up running like a dog in the whole race. He was 17th. Qualifies well here. He's at the pointy end of the field. Clearly the car's better, but you've got to start at the front. This is a classic example of if you don't start at the front, then you're in trouble.
He hasn't had to burn the tyres up. He hasn't had to fight guys for 15th, 16th position. He's managed to drive his own race. He's had a pretty lonely one, which has obviously helped as well. And he's got the pace. He's able to look ahead, not have to look behind, and just drive his own race.
And he's built championship wins on the back of that early in years where he's had the lead all the way through. He's made him chase. He's chasing this year. Winterbottom's normally the guy doing the chasing. The roles have been reversed this year. We jump on board with the reigning champ. And it's a case here of a bit of air in front, bit of air behind, 6 to go. Bring it home and bank some points and think about tomorrow.
And think about not being in this pack, because that's where he would have been in the previous race. 17th is exactly where Van Gisbergen is right now.
And it's on for Young and Old.
Percat, Bryant, Moffat. Ooh, gee, I thought he was going to make contact. Then I thought James was going to make contact with the back of Jason's car there. Right back in behind is Will Davison on fresher tyres, remember? So we saw Will Davison and Jason come in very late. Bryant's always been good there. He's been very, very good on the way into Kolb all weekend.
And I don't think Percat thought he was going to stick the nose through in the centre, like the way he did just then, but I think he released the brake, drove the car into the hole, and then Percat had nowhere to go and he had to relent.
Yep. So good manoeuvre there by Jason. He'll probably get down the inside of Shane Van Gisbergen in a similar way if he can get that run off the top of the hill.
And Moffat's just frustrated. He's very frustrated. You can see the body language of his car, just what he's doing with the guys in front of him, the little touches here and there. He wants to be released. Another challenging drive for Shane Van Gisbergen. The last one, dead last, after a strategy that didn't pay off as Fabian Coulthard finally gets the run on Chaz Mosdett. Again, will he get the crisscross this time? Will he change the way he exits this corner? He has this time. He didn't allow Mosdett to get a run. He slowed the car down a little bit more, was able to turn it and cover Mosdett from getting the crisscross.
That was a much smarter manoeuvre by Fabian. He braked the car very nicely. He turned it in slower, was able to keep the car held tighter, and as Greg said, made the exit much nicer. And in terms of acceleration, that was the key to holding that position. So on board now with Scott Mclaughlin. Look in the background, there's Mostert. Big run wide. Oh, a bit of contact. That's all fine.
Yep, nothing wrong with that.
Then up the inside, so they run up the hill. A little bit of bump. Oh, he made the grass. So that gave him the run. He ran into the grass by himself.
Well, they both ran real deep in behind Scott. Mostert wide and then Coulthard wide as well. That's some good stuff.
But he just held it nice. See the way he made that exit nice and straight. He had no way that Mostert could actually do the crisscross, which, as I said, was mostly about containing the entry speed when he did it. In fact, I thought that Scott Pye was going to have a big lunge when all that was unfolding before. Exactly.
And Scott Pye was able to close up because of that little exchange. He's right behind Chaz Mostert now.
He's driven very well in this race, Murph. He's done a nice job. He's got no drama. He's got no damage on the car.
Just look at the inputs there.
Nice and gentle.
Just very smooth. That car looks really strong right now.
He's on target to equal his best result of the year. He's 7th.
Boom.
Gee,
just give him a rap and almost gyrated.
I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, exactly.
The change of direction there between 4 and 5 has always been a challenge. Always been a challenge, hasn't it? And it just, as you get off the throttle, short shift, change direction in the car, the back of the car just gives a twitch. You've got to recover it really quickly.
Nice. Nice throttle modulation. Just have a look at his brake performance here. Very good. Had defeated a couple of gears to get it stopped. Nice apex, nice exit.
Short shift.
I don't know whether he needed to use second at the final corner.
This is Davison.
Oh, here we go.
Move back on through.
So Davison's managed to use those tyres. Not probably as much as he would like. He's up to 19th. A little bit more speed than these guys right now. But as I said before, that Moffat car, he just looks aggro there. He's not happy at all. But he's not able to do anything about it. Nick Percat ahead of him. Just fast enough. That strategy just has not paid off for Davison at all, has it?
No, not at all.
Here's Ingle, P10, started from third on the grid for the second time in a row today, but things have been, this has looked a bit nicer, a bit more solid than the race earlier on. They've tuned it up okay. Final lap though for Craig Lowndes. He's got a nice margin. It's 1.8 seconds. He's been able to control this one really well.
And Mearns, he's the fastest of all the top guys.
That's impressive, eh? For those guys to turn that car around and make it that much competitive, that much more competitive than what it was from race 1. He's only got half a lap to go. Craig Lowndes, he's done this many times here. He's on his way to another one.
This will be his 15th win.
Does he equal or beat someone?
I don't know.
Some other bloke? We don't want to talk about it.
Okay. But it's a very good performance at Barbagallo for this man, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He really has a great record here. He's on his way home, fighting for the championship, trying to win the crown for the first time in 15 years. He's inching closer to being V8 Supercars first Centurion. Win 97 for Craig Lowndes at Barbagallo in Perth. He makes it home. It's another one for Holden. It's another one for Red Bull. 1.8 seconds clear of Mark Winterbottom. Whincup is on the podium for the first time in 8 races. That's not happened for a long time. The Volvo backs up the win in 4th. Red Bull Racing Australia, not sure that they're fully back yet, but that's a nice step after a tough couple of events.
Big turnaround for that team to do that. I mean, we're talking only a few hours ago. Whincup was 17th. Craig Lowndes had drifted back after starting from the front row, and now they're both cars on the podium. So a little bit of a pat on the back for Red Bull Racing.
Great job too from Scott Pye. Equals his best result of the year, 7th for Wilson Security Racing. Rusty is in the top 10. Russell Ingall in the repair management Commodore, but Red Bull, 2 cars on the podium, and although Lowndes nibbles some points from Winterbottom, it's not many because he's just behind him on the road.
It was a good drive by Mark Winterbottom also. That was an early strategy. He forced people to come in with him at that time.
That man looks happy.
Yeah, RD, he's a very good winner. He's a very below average loser.
Very good
Very, very below average loser, but a very, very good winner.
You saw in the background there too with the cap, Ludo Lacroix here for the first race of the year.
No, he'll be claiming. He'll be claiming.
Magnifique. As they roll on into the stop area. Craig Lowndes, of course, last had a win down at Symonds Plains in Tasmania as they roll on in. So the 2 sprints are done. Tomorrow is a longer 83-lap, 200-kilometre race where fuel becomes a factor and the like. Tyre life still stays a factor. A few little tune-ups to come, but he's done this a few times over the years. This time last year, you were down there.
I was. He broke another record last year, didn't he? So, I mean, he's just had an unbelievable run at this place. And he knows how important it is. He knows how important it is to bounce back. And that reaction with he and Jeremy, it doesn't get any stronger than that, Noons. When you've got a great relationship with the engineer and you both know how much effort you put in to get a result, that there is the reaction that you have.
And this was the sort of style that brought Craig Lowndes a win today in race 15 of the championship. He keeps this title really interesting. It's such an unbelievable title fight this year that's unfolding. He's done it again in Perth. Barrett's, it's an unbelievable record he's got here.
Noons, it really is, Craig. Congratulations, another great win. The embrace that you gave Jeremy Moore just said it all. You guys have worked hard to get this car right, and you've got a tickety-boo.
Well, look, we're making headroads into what we obviously, we've had 2 bad rounds. This morning's race, we were okay, but we were chewing tyres up again, and that's something that's not normally our trait, but we are doing it. I think this has been a huge turnaround. I think we made a big change to the car. It's worked. Both cars are now on the podium for the first time. So, look, it was a great battle with Frosty. We were sort of going toe-to-toe there. Thankfully, there wasn't any more than the last lap coming up because my rear tyres were shot.
Hey, win number 97. Congratulations. Have you been counting?
No, but I believe now I've equalled Scaife in a round win, so or races in a round. So I've got one more chance tomorrow.
Okay, enjoy the podium. Well done, Lounsey.
I will, thanks. Say hello to Levi and Chili at home.
Mark Winterbottom, tremendous once again. Boy, you're keeping this championship battle alive and very interesting for us all. You currently lead by 110 points, so you've slightly widened the gap.
Oh, yeah, 3 points. It's problem is they keep finishing up the front, and obviously we've got to try and keep doing that too. But race 1 was okay, but we still salvaged something quite good, and that race, the car was really good. So they found some tyre life in the Red Bull cars. So I was just waiting for him to go away, but he didn't. So good job to their AAA guys, and I'm awesome to get second. I'm wrapped.
So you'll sleep well tonight. Come back even more enthused tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll sleep well tonight. So we'll keep chipping away. We're not far off. We've got to get the car good in quality to start in a good position, and that's probably the first battle. But in the race, we're okay. We're just trucking along, but we'll fix it in quality, and that's the thing we need to improve.
We look forward to seeing that tomorrow, Frosty. Well done.
Thank you.
Hey, Jamie, good to see you back on the podium. It's been a little while, but everything's coming together well. I know there was a lot of work in your team post-Pukekohe. It's all paid off.
Yeah. It has been a while since I've been on the podium, so nice to be back. The cars were pretty quick. We had some good tyres as well to work with. So tomorrow's going to be interesting, but we're still juggling the setup and trying to find some pace. But we're there or thereabouts.
So how far off do you reckon you are from where you want to be?
Oh, still a little bit, yeah, of course. The guys behind were catching, they've had some good pace on, but a bit held up. So,
we feel like a stolen a podium, but we'll take it and see how we go tomorrow.
Go shake some champagne. Good on you.
Thanks,
Jake.
Just down here, that's the back of Scotty Mclaughlin. I'll just get him to turn around. Hey, mate, cap on. Well done. Yeah, that's the way. Hey, Scotty, P5, still a good result, but it looked like the car wasn't as sharp as it was earlier in the day, and you didn't change the car. And your engineer right there, Rich Holloway, said maybe you should have.
Yeah, we should have. I think we were a bit, the car was awesome, and we didn't want to stuff with it. And yeah, we probably should have gone a little bit softer in the front spring to give it a little bit of turn, and we didn't. But we got fourth, and we just hung on there. There's a bit of biff and barge and unnecessary stuff, but oh well, what happens?
All right, good job, mate. Back tomorrow, and maybe give her a tune-up overnight.
I'll give it a tune-up, all right, and the driver. Cheers.
Not a bad day for Scott Mclaughlin. Let's recap the results in race 15. Craig Lowndes, his third race win of the season. Another podium for Mark Winterbottom, 8th for the year, and retains that points lead. But Lowndes leapfrogs now to second. Tanner in 11th from Lee Holdsworth. Best Nissan, Michael Caruso. They've got some homework to do at Nissan Motorsport. Shane Van Gisbergen again struggling. Jack Perkins with a punctured tyre. He finished last, 25th after 42 laps and 100 Ks of racing. Let's head to the podium for some champagne. Barrett's is standing by.
15th race of our year. Would you please congratulate our winning drivers? In first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. In second place for Ford Pepsi Max crew, Mark Winterbottom. In third place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. And representing our winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, Jeremy Moore. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Gwen Dolphin, Executive Director, Events, Tourism, Western Australia. Presenting the second place trophy is Paul Miles, MLA, Member for Wanneroo. Making the presentation of the winning team trophy is John Clark, General Manager, Barbagallo Raceway. And making the presentation of the winning trophy is the Honourable Lisa Harvey, MLA, Minister for Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 Perth 400 Race 15 winners.
He's making a habit of this, isn't he, in Barbagallo? Craig Lowndes. He's in this title fight. 110 points is the margin, but Mark Winterbottom still leads the way for Ford fans. Fabian Coulthard third, James Courtney's fourth, but Jamie Whincup, by the way, has just moved up to P5. Time for some champagne in the West. And time for a little bit of a sip as well for Craig Lowndes. It was a good day, though, for some other teams, though, along the lane. Larko, very nice day for Wilson Security Racing.
Scotty Pye, for me, man of the match, mate. I thought that was a spectacular drive. We saw little signs earlier in the day when you stuck it up the inside here, turn 7, very aggressive, but really managed your race there well, mate. Put some green tyres on for the second stint and it worked for you.
Yeah, it was important, obviously, to get Courtney as early as we could. I actually made some contact with him, which I have to apologise for, but yeah, it was important for us to get that track position so that we could manage our own race. You know, obviously, when you're stuck behind someone, it's so hard to look after the tyres, and the pace was actually pretty quick. I was surprised we were able to do those times for the entire race. But yeah, we had a fantastic race car. We certainly need to work on quali because, you know, I can see that we can get podiums. I'm sure it's coming soon, but we just need to qualify further up.
Oh, I think we're seeing the little signs of a good future from you, mate. And I noticed quite a bit of damage on the back of the car, along the side of the car here. Just quickly tell us what happened there.
Just rubbing. I guess rubbing's racing. But the back's actually coming into pit lane. I think Caruso or someone in the first race got into the back. But yeah, I guess the last corner moves, a few of them, you end up rubbing with other cars and stuff. Not major hits, but you got to get through, don't you?
All part of the gig. Well done, mate.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Yeah, not a bad job at all. Equals his best result of the year with a 7th for Dick Johnson's team. So let's have a look at the highlights, boys. Race 15.
It was pretty lively, wasn't it?
It was here at the first corner. It was on. Look at Whincup trying to get up the inside of the Volvo. It went right through the next couple of corners. While they were doing that, Lowndes was clearing away. Betty Klemenko would have had heart failure right here. Lee Holdsworth and Will Davison side by side, but they got away with it and raced on.
They certainly did. And there was a lot of really good midfield action also too. The thing that I thought was impressive, that was impressive. That was a move that Greg Murphy and I went, wow, how did you do that, Scott Pye, which was down the inside and got that move made on James Courtney. And there was a lot of really good quality driving and a lot of stuff that I thought in terms of the way that the guys gave each other room to race and got away with that manoeuvre up and over turn 4 was exquisite. There was some really good stuff amongst the top guys.
Wasn't a case of who was not going to stop. It was a case of when did they stop, because they all came on in for some more Dunlop boots. A little bit of a rub there between Fabian Coulthard and Chaz Mostert. The Kiwi got down the inside of the Pepsi Max Ford, and they had a great fight all the way through, but no one could really stop Craig Lowndes. Win 97, win 15 at Barbagallo Raceway. Very much in this title fight. Winterbottom, though, not far away. Red Bull Racing Australia and FPR's Pepsi Max crew, class of the field. 1, 2, 3 between them, and a cuddle there with Jeremy Moore to finish off the day.